Art, and I guess in this case cinema, is a reflection of our reality. Or at least it's a demonstration of how one artist or a group of artists perceive their own current reality. It's a defining characteristic of most European art cinema movements, all with their own visions of the world. From the German expressionist subjective reality and abstract socio-political critique, to the raw, no-frills representation of post-war Italy during the neo-realism movement. Even the poetic realist directors of the 30s stylized look at people on the margins of society would serve as a precursor for what I'm talking about today. The French New Wave. Forever the egotists, and I say that with love, these film critics turned makers of the French New Wave began to shift focus to the individual, themselves. Directors like Godard, Varda, and Demy were all about drawing attention to their beloved art form, but in The 400 Blows, Francois Truffaut used that art form to tell his own story. The 400 Blows allows us to see the world through not only a child's eyes, but Truffaut's eyes. But his story isn't the only one being told here. Yes, it is about his childhood delinquency and broken family, but the scope is wider than that. Woven into every scene of The 400 Blows is this push and pull between the old and the young, children versus authority. This disconnect reflects both the way Truffaut saw the world as a child and the way he viewed the film industry at the time.
On ne pouvait pas confier tant d'argent à des gens de moins de 45 ans. Et je crois que c'est comme ça que le cinéma est devenu trop solennel. Alors...
Essentially, The 400 Blows is a love letter to rebellion.
Ce qu'on fait après 35 ans n'a pas d'intérêt, mais ce qu'on fait avant est inestimable. Alors, dans un premier film comme À bout de souffle, il y a la force d'un premier film et il y a la force de quelqu'un de jeune aussi. On ne pourrait pas faire À bout de souffle à 40 ans, c'est pas possible.
How exactly does Truffaut frame these two groups, though? Truffaut's children in this film have the world at their feet, and they are at their brightest when they are taking a piece of it for themselves. They're full of life, reacting to situations within their nature. They're inquisitive, passionate, but also trapped at times. Truffaut's connection between Douanel's generation and his own generation of rebellious filmmakers is evident in the school scenes. Truffaut and company were going against the grain, just as Antoine and his friends misbehave and play fight. They rewrote the rules of the medium, Antoine writes on the wall. In multiple scenes, the teacher recites old literature as the kids struggle to engage with it. This is a pretty direct mirror to the dissatisfaction with cinéma de papa that the French New Wave was born out of. All of this rebellion is nothing without an opponent though, and in this film it comes in the form of parents, teachers, the police, and social services. They view children as a nuisance, even to the point of deriding others for having them.
Ton cousin m'a téléphoné.
Tiens.
Sa femme attend encore un môme.
Le 4e en 3 ans? C'est du lapinisme. Moi, je trouve ça répugnant.
They always want to get rid of them.
Qu'on fait du gosse là pendant les vacances?
They're often apathetic, not caring about or even listening to kids.
Je m'attends à tout de sa part.
T'as bien répondu?
On m'a pas interrogé.
They're wrapped up in their own lives, their own possessions, and how the kids' behavior is going to affect them.
Où as-tu mis mon guide Michelin?
Je l'ai pas touché.
Antoine, tu sais très bien que je ne peux pas supporter le mensonge.
The common thread among all these authority figures is that no one listens. Douanel's parents never believe him. René's parents, while wealthy and lenient, are still just the other side of the same coin. When Douanel's father takes him to the authorities, they speak about him as if he isn't even in the room. No one cares that Douanel tried to return the typewriter he stole. They only care that he stole it. In fact, the only adult who is actually interested in what he has to say is the other man in his jail cell. Another rebel. Almost every single act of rebellion in this film is directly followed by an act of apathy, punishment, or oppression. Rebellion. Punishment. Rebellion. Apathy.
diable, 9h30, je vais être en retard au cercle.
I could go on for hours. This entire film is an arm wrestle between two generations that builds toward Antoine taking his freedom because no one else is going to give it to him, much like the young filmmakers of Truffaut's era had to fight to make their voices heard. There is one act of rebellion in this movie though that isn't followed by anything other than credits, and that's Antoine's final escape. Let's continue the theme of relating this to Truffaut's reality. Even as Antoine runs, Truffaut commits an act of cinematic rebellion in the form of this 80-second unbroken take. He snatches his freedom, although the iconic final frame feels bleak. But if we look beyond the screen and at the autobiographical nature of the film, it may not be so bleak. Antoine and Truffaut were both lost, but Truffaut was found. After his time in the system, he met Andre Bazin, a paternal figure who actually listened to him. He got a job, and the rest is history. It might be optimistic, but again, cinema is merely our perception of our reality. Like European art films have done throughout time, Francois Truffaut showed us his. From his words and his art, we can gather that he saw the world as one that belonged to the young, to the rebel, even if it wasn't ready for them yet. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow or next week, but one day the rebel will be free.
Je crois parce on est sensible à la réalité, il n'y a pas d'âge pour ça. Au contraire, je crois que dans les années de jeunesse, on est même plus, on a un sens plus aigu de la réalité.